top laners, but also the jungle influence. You got Beishang and Kanavi, two of... I think Kanavi's definitely had a slower start towards this tournament, but beishang has just gone from strength to strength to strength. He's really kind of coming into his own, I feel.
Oh, beishang has been absolutely spectacular. He's currently sitting over 20 KDA, and he's only died once in the past 5 games. So it's the combined factor of being very good at snowballing and also just being extremely clean in team fights. The enemy team has not been able to draw a beat on him whatsoever, and he's been dishing out the majority of the damage on his team. This team really is looking at him to be the main carry, even over the likes of Jiumeng.
Yeah, we can see the blind picks just flicking through. Looks like JDG are relatively set in stone. They just have to lock them all in. They have got one Renekton on the side of Team WE, so come on, for Danny, we need... Oh, unfortunately, the Gragas got locked in. But the Graves locked in as well, means we aren't going to see the Renekton in that mid lane either for the side of JDG. But overall, no mirror matchups apart from the great...
these two players and how the bot lanes are going to be relatively non-interactive early on. We're going to get that spicy matchup in the top side, where Kanavi was your MVP in the previous year in 2020, and beishang's been having a blast this tournament. It really does seem like we're going to have the 4-man clash decide most of the early game.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the Rift for Game 1, the blind pick of this best of 5, the final semi-final. As we see who will be going up against Top Esports. Will be a three-peat in 2020. Will we see 3 best of 5s between JDG and Top Esports, or will WE really put a spanner in the works and kind of give us a lot of food for thought coming into the 2021 season?
And WE, you know, last year they had a pretty good split as well. No one really hyped up this roster. It was relatively young, and there aren't a lot of big name star talents on this team. However, they were still a 7th place team into the playoffs, got taken down by LGD, and a lot of people thought that they were the, in fact, better team. This year coming in, they've diversified their carry points. They brought in Breathe, previously known as Curse, and it just seems like they can play through multiple points on the map this time around. Also, beishang has been, like we were talking about, a massive carry for this team. He's not on the guard bot lane duty anymore, and he's had a lot more freedom in dishing out his own damage, going for those carry builds too. So WE this year, super exciting, is going to definitely move up the ranks in terms of their playoff rankings.
Well, both mid laners starting off with Corrupting Potion. Definitely not surprising to see, considering it is Azir and a Zoe very good at harassing each other respectfully, so they just want to try and stay in that lane as long as they possibly can before they are forced into a back. We see now LvMao and Missing. These are the two, I would honestly say, these are the 2 best supports in the tournament so far. Like, from what we've seen overall, these guys have been the 2 best supports 100%. And we can see with Jiumeng trying to go in on top of LokeN. The cleanse has to be used immediately as the ignite goes down, and Jiumeng just getting a bit too aggressive, not respecting the fact that the Leona was still there.
Yeah, LokeN played that very, very well, though, holding on to his fleet footwork, and he is able to outplay just because of the movement speed, chasing down with the higher auto, chasing down with the extra sustain, and, you know, just burning out the pots incoming from Jiumeng. So really, really strong level 1 to 2 play right here. And this is kind of surprising because if you look at the summoners, both of these bot laners are really just trying to farm up. And to have this big of an edge when you're going for boots and 4 pots is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I was actually just about... Oh, flash in! Xenoblade lands, but he's not able to get the stun just about. He's going to be taking down first blood. Will go over to the side of JDG. Leona will fall to the Alistar. LokeN has got nowhere to go, and he's definitely not got a paddle, and beishang will pick up that one. So overall, 2 for 1 in favor of TWE.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that was worth it for JD Gaming, going over 2 kills, and also beishang getting a part of the action as well. I think that was pretty smart pathing from beishang's end. He started red, went up to Raptors, and then saw the action happening in bot lane, just moved down. It's not a super optimal pathing, but it's one that definitely netted those kills.
Yeah, yes, he will lose off on his blue buff, but that's kind of a minor deal. You will take a blue buff trade for a kill any day of the week. And let's just see this one. This is immediately kind of like, you see LvMao, he sees blood in the water and immediately tries and goes for it, but LokeN just can't get the auto attack.
Yeah, this would still have been a pretty good play if beishang wasn't there, because they would be able to push the wave in, make the enemy AD carry lose in on a lot of experience and gold, and LokeN would be able to still farm up. So You know, in terms of end results, the only thing you can say is that beishang really outsmarted in terms of the pathing and was able to get there in time to equalize those kills. Actually, get the lead in those kills, excuse me.
Yeah, I was about to say, definitely get the lead in those kills. And yes, Jiumeng will be kind of the sacrifice of, you know, CS and experience, but now you're looking at a, you know, beishang who has got a kill early back, gets the pickaxe into the back pocket, so he's going to become a very big threat if he's able to make it work out for the rest of his team and kind of influence those side lanes, because like you said, the top lane is what we were looking at as where most of the action or most of the kind of contention will be between these two teams, just because Zoom and Breathe are just two of the best top laners the LPL has in 2020.
Yeah, and it was just the way these teams kind of played out. You can see the bot lane, they're running a lot of cleanses down there. These are definitely not super aggressive summoners in this case. So kind of surprising to see all of these trades happening. It definitely was of a seesaw of like miscalculations and who's doing better trades at that point. But for now, the important thing is that the bot lane is, again, wide open for ganks. You don't have to flash onto LokeN anymore. We're seeing beishang paying even more attention down here. And we also have to note that WE is winning out quite heavily in the mid lane. This is to be expected. You have Shanks up 10 CS and has been pushing xiye into tower throughout the majority of laning phase. So W definitely looking to put a little bit more pressure, maybe have their mid roam down here, and continue to get potentially Jiumeng fed.
Kanavi, having just been power farming through his own and his enemy's jungle, is going to be able to try and start up this Mountain Drake, but it is very wary. They don't have full knowledge as to where the enemy jungler is, but they know that they are in a 3v2 right now, this very moment. Jiumeng tumbles away as they get the teleport coming in now as well. That's going to be the top laner joining in here for Team WE. They are able to finally take down Jiumeng, but they trade it back 1 for 1. There is an Azir popping down. He has got the Emperor's Divide. Will not need it, and he picks himself up. Ends up being a 2-for-1 trade. JDG capitalizing on a lack of jungle presence.
Yeah, that was awfully weird from WE. They saw LokeN alone in lane and greeted for a pushback on the wave there. Unfortunately, the timing was just very unfortunate. They walk into like multiple members just waiting for them. Very easy pickup coming in from JD Gaming. And we also have to note that Breathe loses out massively in the top side. He has to spend both summoners just to get killed in the bot lane. So definitely not a great start.
Not a great one. beishang just sitting in the kind of pit right now, making a nuisance of himself. Should not be able to realistically steal this dragon, as there's just too much single target CC and damage on the side of JDG. So Mountain Drake does go over to the side of JDG. The game is very much kind of equaling out. Only real advantage you can see right now on either side is that Mountain Drake that just went over.
Yep, let's look at this again. They're trying to push in the wave, get it to bounce back when the support isn't there. However, they get caught red-handed when everyone comes in. Kanavi is there. He's able to pick up the kill very easily onto Jiumeng. And Breathe coming in here is able to equalize, but just on the support. Doesn't even find the burst damage at the end of that either. So, you know, just a very, very strong straight win coming in from JD Gaming on the bot side. And they get to snowball a Drake off of that too.
What was a bit of a rough kind of engage in bot side for JDG has led them down to be the focal point for this side and for all the engages that we've seen so far. And they have taken the advantages that have been given to them. Now, with WE having pressure on their own side, they are slight experience advantage in the supports as this wave does crash into that turret. They don't really have their jungler anywhere around. They do not know where beishang is. They have to play very respectfully, and that's something I feel like Team WE fans will be hoping Jiumeng was a little bit more, just a little bit more respectful of the lack of knowledge rather than, you know, well, I only see one of them, so that must mean they were a 2v1.
Jiumeng has been having a bit of a rough tournament. We have to be honest about this. You know, we've seen him playing hyper carries, but often out of position. And the first one to go down in team fights, that has happened multiple times already. So, you know, hopefully he can clear his mechanics up a little bit here. I do want to talk about something very interesting on the map. We are seeing the AP Gragas actually come out. Now, typically it has been the tank one throughout this entire tournament. But Zoom isn't about that life. He's all about the deeps.
Oh, speaking of the deeps, there's the explosive cast. The Dominus has been popped here, and there is nowhere to go here for that Crocodile. He's going to be turned into another pair of boots. And that is an easy pickup here from JDG. And this is the kind of JDG that's so scary that we, love seeing throughout the regular split. And this is why they're so feared now with the acquisition of xiye on this roster. It just feels like they're slowly but surely becoming a top esports contender once again.
Well, they've always have been, for that matter. But let's see if xiye can get out of this one.
Oh, nice little Shurima shuffle. Not able to pick up the kill on the beishang. It looked very pretty there. LvMao almost in position, just a little bit too far behind. But while they pick up a kill in the mid lane, it is going to be the Rift Herald pick up here by JDG. And Kanavi, he doesn't need to really be that aggressive. He is just out farming his opponents so heavily.
I love that play from beishang because that was a position where he would be sandwiched quite easily. He slips between the enemy top laner and jungler that are clearly doing Herald and finds a kill onto xiye. A lot of junglers would not be willing to make that play right there because if the enemy team reacts, you're basically playing 3v1. So that's just the type of smart thinking beishang has. You could see xiye, he was leaning very far towards the left side onto his lane because he thought his jungle and top laner were going to be able to cover him from that angle. And beishang just exploits that perfectly.
And again, gold not really being the differentiator here between the two sides. Definitely more about those global objectives that have both gone in the favor of JDG. But coming up to the 10-minute or 10.5-minute mark, where do you see this game kind of really exploding and where either side kind of takes the control of the pacing?
Well, for now, I think W still has a sizable advantage mid lane, so I think they're going to be able to swing that into Drakes. That's going to definitely be the #1 strategy that they're going to be running with, and you can see the vision set up very strongly around on the right side of the map as well. Zoe is going to have priority. They're going to buff that up with Alistar, Missing just roaming down into that section, and I think that's the area where you want to look at because this is where they're going to have vision blind spots, and it's going to be very easy for them to find picks here. She is going to have a hard time joining these team fights, and I really want to see how Kanavi and co get back into this Drake situation.
Oh, there we go. It's going to be a 2v2 and topside Zoom forced the flash. The explosive cast does force the flash out of Breathe. And again, nothing really kind of changed there. Both ultimates expended, both flashes expended by the top laners. Everyone just kind of backs away. No harm, no foul.
Yep. And, all the attention going on to the Drake. The Infernal Drake is definitely the one that everyone is looking at these points. Especially useful for WE since it does make that kill threshold a little bit higher on a champion like Zoe. So we are seeing both the junglers path towards this side of the map. They do have their ultimates up and just taking stock at the summoners right now. It's almost going to be full house for both sides. So this one is going to be very highly contested. And we're seeing JDG inch into the river, but very haphazardly.
Very much feeling like they had enough confidence to kind of walk towards that. It is a level advantage for Kanavi. He is level 9 to the beishang's level 8. So right now, you can see what Missing has got his flash available, and he has full knowledge of exactly who is here. They're going to jump straight onto Kanavi, who's forced to flash away. LvMao gets the Senna played in, but that is Kanavi dead. The Graves are both down, so both junglers are dead. TP comes in from either side, and now both sides, it's a 4v4, but they're kind of swapped ends right now. No paddle star hits for Shanks. That could have been big damage, but it doesn't really connect. There's the final curtain call coming in. Final hour
Shanks
still
is
available.
Actually taking tower shots here. Wow,
yeah,
very difficult retreat.
I was about to say, explosive cast is available here. They do land it, but there's not enough there to really dissuade anybody. And it is JDG to come out with the health bar advantage. Missing just needs to back himself away. They do land the triple bubble, but it's not really going to go anywhere. They should be able to pick up some plates and transition that as well into some dragons. Missing has got his flash still available to him, but I don't think they're going to be able to get anything from this. He's just not tanky enough. Needs to be very, very careful as he gets very, very low. But overall, it's JDG who come out on top just in a straight health trade.
That was such a baller play from xiye. He goes into the enemy backline, scoops everyone in, and locks them in a very unfavorable position. Forces the teleport out from Breathe. That was just so smart on so many levels. They definitely knew that beishang didn't have his flash, so they were able to snipe him directly out at the early outset of the fight. And we have to remember that they actually were in a massive vision disadvantage. There was multiple pinks down there already. Missing was coming over the wall, completely unspotted, and xiye just reversed that position 180. They get the mid tower off of it, and they still have another go at this Drake.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, despite JDG getting the mid lane turret, getting the pressure, they actually are the ones who lose out on this Drake, so they're not able to continue the stacking, as it was Kanavi who decided to go towards that top side, try and catch up in the, you know, CS advantage that he had. I don't really know about that one from JDG. Felt like they were a little bit greedy for the waves, and, you know, kind of maybe it was they kind of prioritized a couple of other different setups rather than the Drake. It will, unfortunately for them, stop their stacking, and that means that we're now looking at an Ocean Soul with both sides kind of waiting on 3 Drakes, so we're not going to see that kind of big fight for a very long time.
100% the mid lane was definitely worth more for JD Gaming. You know, they have a scaling champion like the Azir. It's always great when you have that turret advantage, and it does force Zoe into a lot of compromising situations where you can just come behind her, and it's very difficult for her to escape someone that is, you know, wrapping around with the portal jump, forcing you to go back to your original position. So I definitely think JD Gaming still did the right trade in terms of the objectives right here. They do open up the map a little bit.
But I feel like they could have gotten both. You know, like take the mid lane and immediately go to it. It would have been risky, but I feel like, I suppose I've just watched, you know, Top Esports and, you know, Avicii Gaming series where they just kind of threw caution to the wind, and we're just like, you know what, let's do it and see what happens. You know that friend who just kind of goes, you know what, I don't know what's gonna happen, but let's find out. Like, let's just see. And then it's neither good nor bad. It could be the greatest experience of your life, or something you laugh about in the future, or could just be one of those moments of just, let's never speak of this again.
That's just the LPL, baby. Sometimes better setup does not equal better results. A lot of it does come down to execution, just like we saw from JD Gaming's side, where they were actually in the worst setup but still able to come out ahead of things. So that's just the magic of JD Gaming, because there's such a talented roster and all of their members have such distinct roles on what they want to do here. And I just want to point out something that's very interesting in the top lane. We do see the Ionian Boots of Lucidity coming out from Zoom. So he's really prioritizing that one-shot combo that he can throw out multiple times. You do get the Summoner cooldown here as well from the item.
Rift Herald dropped into that mid lane just to get a big chunk out of it. Will not take it down. LokeN feels fairly safe with the vision control that he has, that no one is collapsing on top of him. And as soon as Shanks arrives, he knows he needs to get the hell out. But overall, it's about a 2,000, just under 2,000 gold lead for the side of JDG as they start to push in these turrets. They got a bit of standing gold available to them. They are posturing aggressively towards the enemy side of the jungle. Gale Force used defensively as beishang is going to be sniped out. Really good shot there from LokeN. And again, that's just more pressure coming in from JDG. They establish vision. They know exactly where everyone is. They find the pick.
Yeah, and the only one that's going to survive that sort of burst on WE's side has to be the Renekton or the Alistar. They have both of them on their mini-map. They see the sight vision. They're very comfortable in pushing into the enemy jungle and just taking smites like that, taking fights like that. So, great pickup on JD Gaming, and this is something that they do extremely well from the games that we've seen so far in this tournament. They do love to play with long-range carries. They know a lot of the times this meta is about jousting and finding those first picks on opponents. They use the Jhin in coordination with the rest of the team extremely well, and we've seen them just make pick after pick in this situation.
And this is something as well, like if you're talking about an identity for JDG, this is they're the cold, precise killers in what I would say. Like nothing is ever done off of, well, unless you give them a very large opportunity, but nothing is ever done without pure calculation on their part. Like we said there, they build up the vision control. They know exactly where every single person is, or at least has a very, very educated guess on where everyone is on the side of WE, and they're able to just completely execute on what was just a smart pick. They know that no one's really going to be able to help them out, and they're able to just kind of coldly go in, precision kill, and get him out. And that's JDG to a T, I feel.
I'm not sure about cutting necessarily, but one thing I will say, the way they play around vision, is that they're incredibly persistent. they will stay around an area where they know they have a vision advantage, and they will continuously goad you in. Like, JD Gaming is the team that loves Baron dances the most out of any team in the LPL, because they know that if they can find their first kill, it's often very easy to find snowball kills, and that's how they break games open. Just baiting around objectives is their bread and butter.
And now I'm hungry for some toast. We'll walk over, and Shanks, he talked about that vision control. They will not be able to pick him up. He had the heal. Explosive cast does force the flash as well, so that's 2 summoners down. And like you said, this full AP Gragas build so far is that you have to respect the damage that explosive cast will have, which means that you cannot just go, I'll tank this up. You have to flash away from it. That opens up this bot side jungle, gives them access to this dragon. Unfortunately for JDG, it is only their second. But do WE look for the fight after this? Flash comes in from LvMao. He misses the Zenith Blade, and the TP is here to follow. They have got the damage down, forcing the flash away from Kanavi, and the rest of the fight is here. Emperor's Divide, Cleanse is there, as everything's just kind of getting very, very low. But Jiumeng's feeling himself. Jiumeng's going very, very deep into enemy territory. He's got those tumbles. He's got the final hour, and he gets the double kill. Jiumeng finally coming out trumps for his team. Yes, they lose the dragon, but they gain so much gold.
That was insane from Jiumeng. He goes up the ledge and basically takes on a 1v3 on his side. He knows that he has the Immortal Shield Bow, so there's not enough damage left to take him down, and he cleans that fight up extremely beautifully. What I wanted to say about the setup of the fight was that I felt like JDG lost out on too much tempo trying to catch out Shanks. They did get the double summoners, but the minion waves were pushed so far into their top lane, into their mid lane, that it made exit strategies very, very difficult. They couldn't walk mid anymore. It was very easy for W to actually just go in and pick them off. And I'm not sure I liked this call from LvMao. Like, this call from LvMao was basically, you know, like, your team's going to have a hard time just actually going through mid lane anyway, and they forced a situation where I felt like they could have just taken it and had a better reset off that one. They went really, really greedy for trying to reset the map tempo as well on the same play, and Jiumeng just flies in to punish them.
As well, like, you look at that, you know, call from LvMao. As I say that, though, JDG going with the cheeky Baron play straight off of this one now, but can they get out with these Baron buffs? There's no real HP bars left on top of them. Zoom just trying to keep everyone away. They've got some people with dashes, some people with flashes, and everyone gets out. JDG, you sneaky, sneaky men.
Oh, this is the double Leandri's Anguish strategy.
Yep.
It does not have a cap against epic monsters, so you're ticking 100 damage away each second. And honestly, it's a bit of a cheese, but it's a very successful one. We've seen this in solo queue a lot of times. When you have Leandri's Anguish, it allows you to do these cheese plays very frequently, and it almost always catches the team off guard.
Is it cheese if it genuinely works? Like, is
cheese?
that
It works
cheese?
very frequently.
That's my point. So is that cheese? Like, cheese to me is something that you just kind of, you throw it up in the air and go, whoop, I hope it works. Whereas that feels like it was more just like a smart play from JDG rather than cheese.
I just want to say, it felt like such a cheap play, man.
Oh, it feels
like
cheap. Don't get me wrong.
20 minutes, W wins a team fight. They have lanes pushing in and mid and top, and it's just like JD Game is like, we'll take Baron. It's fine. We're actually in the lead now.
There are actually, now it's not a huge lead, but now Zoom needs to be a little bit careful. That Trouble Bubble does not land, but Missing is here. He gets knocked back a little bit. The explosive cast is there as well, but he is to fall. That is going to be a quick kill, but while that is all happening, top lane is being pushed in by JDG. They have the Baroned up minions, and they should be able to do a hell of a lot of damage to this turret, if not take it outright as well.
Yeah, definitely a favorable trade for JD Gaming. It's a 2-for-1 tower trade. Kill doesn't really matter that much. Wasn't really a bounty on Zoom anyway. So they should be pretty satisfied with this one. I think it's, you know, it's just a straight trade in their favor. And I think JD Gaming are still going to be looking towards that next objective. This comp is really about finding picks, especially when you have a build that's AP focused like Zoom's burst build right here. So they're still going to have their Baron buff during that Ocean Drake setup. And I think that's what they're going to be looking forward to. All
right, Clement. 23.5 minutes into this game. where's the next big fight coming out from right now? Because JDG, I would have said Baron personally, but they've already taken it, so it's not really something that can kind of go for. Where do you expect these teams to really focus?
I was just talking about the, you know, the Ocean Drake, because it is going to come up when they still have the Baron. It means that they can have their lanes just pushed in, and this comp has a ton of burst potential. It's very easy for them to snipe out targets. WE are going to have to check with Alistar. They have to make sure that Missing is the one that is going to poke his face in. Anyone else, I think even Breathe, is going to cause them to auto-lose the team fights.
Ooh. xiye, though, taking a huge chunk onto his health bar is definitely going to dissuade them from going for any crazy engages. As LvMao does land the Zenith Blade, the collateral damage has to come out there from beishang. Breathe has got the dominance pop, but he is not that tanky, as you said, a lot of burst damage when he's the only one they have to isolate on top of. Curtain Call comes in just to pepper down the health bars, and again, we've kind of seen WE being corks away from their own side of the jungle. To 4v5, still some good ultimates available for Team WE. There is the Unstoppable Will being brought out. LvMao goes down. That's Jiumeng picking that one up. 4v3, WE being pushed away from the Dragon as they just try and circle themselves back. It should be the Dragon going over to the side of JDG. Don't think that beishang is going to try and go for anything. Then they should come out of this on top.
Yeah, I really didn't like the way WE played that. They had Missing on the Baron side of the map and Renekton poking in, but you have to remember, this Renekton is itemizing against AP Gragas. He can't really do much against double lethality AD carries that are going to pepper him at the start of the fight. So, not exactly how I would have wanted to approach this one. However, I will say that they did get enough kills where JD Gaming couldn't really find a complete team ace. They were able to escape that, and it's just about the Dragon stacking that JD Gaming found.
Now this could be a little bit of a cheese play if they were to try and sit in that bush, but just going to take the red buff, get that over to Jiumeng, who has got the Guinzoos as well, and getting him as far ahead as possible now. The Vayne started to get to Vayne levels of crazy in extended fights. We saw a little preview of it earlier as he picked up that double kill, but overall, both these teams ramping up very nicely, and I think we should see probably the next big fight at that Ocean Soul point coming up in about 4 minutes' time.
It definitely seems to be the case, but I would also throw in that JD Gaming has a lot of opportunities to just find picks at this point. If you look at the itemization from Breathe, he's pretty much relying on his Sterix Gauge to keep him alive. He's still not building armor, so there's not really a front line that Jhin needs to be worried about. You know, typically Jhin tends to fall off around this stage of the game where front lines are building lots of armor. He's not dealing as much damage with the lethality anymore, but this isn't one of those cases. This is a case where JD Gaming, if they catch someone, they can still roll the opponent's team just front to back.
Well, Missing is here. He's going to find Kanavi straight off the bat, knock him back, get the stun down as fast as he possibly can. The flashes are in. Explosive cast is down as Kanavi is taken out by Jiumeng. This Vayne really starting to do some damage here. The Zenith Blade does miss. They don't really have a huge amount of lockdown as of yet, and that is going to be the curtain call just to try and see if they can catch out. Breathe! There's the execute! The Chinese sniper that is LokeN Missing was on the backside as well in no man's land, and what started off looking like a fantastic little pickoff for Team WE ends up being disastrous. 2 for 1 in favor of JDG.
Oh, that was an insane shot. That really went between the limbs of beishang to snipe out Breathe right there. Not really expected that one to happen, and JD Gaming actually come away with the kill lead.
Have the kill lead, had to expend a hell of a lot of ultimates though to try and get those there, so they haven't really got the timings on them just yet. As I said that though, Jiumeng forcing the flash out of xiye and his own. Nicely done. And Jiumeng, again, we've been very critical of this guy throughout the Demacia Cup tournament, but he is slowly coming into his own in this Vayne pick.
Yeah, he's had enough of the warm-up practice. You know, this time he's going in for real, and he's doing a real number onto the likes of JD Gaming. If we look at JD Gaming, they don't really have an instant CC or a hard lockdown that can kind of catch out Jiumeng. They pretty much have to expend flashes to get him if they want to take him out at the start of the fight. So, you know, Jiumeng's been doing a great job here. He's still held on to his cleanse throughout all of that. Oh.
That is Zoe levels of damage right there. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Like if LvMao does not land a Xenoblade into the the stun and solar flare on top of it, it's very difficult for the side of JDG to really find, or maybe even a flash body slam from Zoom. It's very, very difficult for them to really lock down this this Vayne, who now has the wit's end. So it's just going to be that little bit harder to kill off with the magic resistance that she's just be able to pick herself up. This is starting to kind of come down to positioning and, you know, where an inch feels like a mile in some of these team fights.
Yeah, it definitely is the case. JD Gaming, if their initial burst cannot find Jiumeng, there's a very real chance that Jiumeng can just heal up and sustain throughout the fight. And one thing you have to remember about this build is that lifesteal is considered on hit. So with the phantom hits coming in from the Rage Blade, you actually heal a very, very significant amount. It basically gives you 30% extra lifesteal on your build.
Very, very, very dangerous times for JDG. However, they have shown us they have got the burst potential. They have got the team fight prowess to be able to turn these fights around regardless of how it starts off for Team WE. So definitely feeling okay if you're Team WE, but definitely not comfortable as both teams start to angle towards this bot side of the river, trying to establish some kind of vision control. As I say that, Missing! What? Where were you? What was that play? Nobody was near him. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that was just a freebie. We could even see the WE players were pinging question marks on the map. That's definitely a pretty interesting play. Miscommunication most likely. But can WE get away from this mistake?
Oh, Jiumeng. Actually, it's beishang who gets caught out. They all just pile on top of him, and that is going to be Ocean Soul almost certainly going over to the side of JDG and WE. Just off of one small mistake. Like I said, an inch feels like a mile, and you lose one player, then you lose another, and all of a sudden it's Drake and possibly Baron now because you haven't got beishang on the map for 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was such a weird move. We're actually going to get the replay right here. Missing looking for a flank behind enemy lines is what caused all of this.
Oh, he just gets caught. There's nowhere for him to go. Oh. And that is just, yeah, he just straight up gets caught. There's nowhere for him to be and nowhere to go. And as we're having a quick look at that, we are going to see Missing jumping in again, trying to see if he can do as much as he possibly can. Good poke onto xiye. Missing will just keep himself alive barely. Never mind, Kanavi's able to pick up that kill. Baron goes down. They have Ocean Soul in the pocket. JDG looking like they're going to be the ones taking a 1-0 advantage into this series.
Very strong position for them to be in. Already 6,000 gold up. And with the Ocean Soul, this means that a lot of these members are going to be very hard to take down through this fight. We've seen how W has played these, and a lot of the times they're actually winning through attrition. It's, you know, Jiumeng going onto the targets one by one, and that leaves a lot of time for regeneration if you have this Ocean Soul. So it really is extremely detrimental. Like if it was Mountain Drake, Jiumeng should be sitting pretty because he's dealing true damage. But this Ocean Soul is really going to hurt WE's chances.
And again, very, very difficult to clear these waves. You don't really have the wave clear with the very, very short range of Vayne and Graves. It kind of relies on the Zoe to be able to kind of take out some of those backliners with the paddle stars. So overall, this just feels strong and stronger coming in for JDG. Feels like they're just going from strength to strength. And gotta say, LokeN's had a fantastic game so far. 6-1-5 on the Jhin, and just kind of double Graves. Missing is now found Kanavi in between turrets, and Kanavi might have overstepped himself just a little bit. There's the condemn. Actually, haven't seen that pretty much utilized at all game, but Kanavi was enough of a distraction for that base to be cracked open in the mid lane. Jump in, three-man pulverizes. Beautiful. Zoom has to go golden to keep himself alive, but Jiumeng and beishang have all the auto attacks. The tumbles are there. The flash has to be expended by LvMao. LokeN has got his flash available to him. This is the moment for Team WE. This is the moment for beishang. Jiumeng perfectly flashes over the wall, and Team WE have routed JDG. Perfect team fight for them there. However, they have got the extra damage. Shanks has to flash away. Missing thinks better about going into the triple buffed LokeN. He's feeling very, very powerful. 4 men die. They only trade 1 back, but the base is cracked for Team WE.
Yeah, that was a great comeback on the side for WE. At the start of it, Kanavi thought he was having a gentleman's duel coming in with beishang. Beishang says, you know what, I'm calling in the squad. All the cop cars show up. They take down the Mafia boss. And this is a point where JD Gaming really should have stepped away a little bit sooner than they did. Beautiful play coming in from Missing with the headbutt pulverized combo, getting 3-man. And later in this team fight, it's all about Jiumeng just cleaning up the pieces. He dodges out on the deadly flourish, continues to go in, and watch this play from Xiye. He's trying to scoop up Jiumeng. Jiumeng gets away in an instant. Xiye can't find a single target with the Emperor's Divide, and they just clean that up.
So well played there from TWE. But again, I gotta give props to LokeN. That man was kiting so well. He didn't even expend his flash. That's how comfortable he was in that entire fight. So gotta give props where props are due. He is still definitely looking like a very strong AD carry for JDG. But overall, still JDG in the driver's seat. Yes, it was flashy. Yes, it looked really good for Jiumeng. But it's still not enough. They are still 5,000 gold behind. They still have an Ocean Drake to deal with. They have Elder and Baron just around the corner. It's still a very much an uphill battle, but there are still signs of life from Team WE.
But we have seen the recipe for success on WE's part. If they can get the initial initiation and draw all the fire towards Missing, they can easily allow Jiumeng safety in the backline to just chase down these kills and follow it up. If you think about all of these team fights that WE has lost, it has been because Missing wasn't in position. He was either picked off at the start of the fight, or he just wasn't really present. So if they have their promotion correct...
LvMao goes in, another 3-man pulverize on top of the side of JDG. There is the Emperor's Divide to try and keep everybody away, but there is coming in with the Renekton. They kill off the Leona. Renekton forces a flash over to the Dragon Pit. Another 1-for-0. LokeN keeping himself alive by using those honey fruits, and they should be able to back themselves away. There's the curtain call coming in. Breathe. You need to back away, buddy. You need to walk away, and there's just a ward. There's a ward on top of you. And LokeN, again, saving JDG, keeping them in these fights as equal as possible. And now
Why
WE...
would you chance that, Breathe?
Yeah.
No, he even stayed around to hit the ward.
He thought there was no ward. He didn't think there was a ward on him. And now with no Renekton...
onto the ward. Oh, God, that was so sad.
Missing is behind enemy lines, so they should have vision of him, though, as they have got a little trinket. Missing now realizes that. He's going to try and just knock that one away. Good 15 gold for him. But overall, still, again, JDG in favor. They're the ones who knock down the inhibitor. They're the ones that have the tempo advantage coming into this Elder Drake. And then into a Baron, you would imagine. LokeN's just had such a game, in my opinion. Like, really looking strong in this first game. But overall, Team WE, they still can do this. They need to try and get onto this map as soon as possible. They can't let this Elder Drake go.
Shanks needs to find some good poke down here. Looking down at the ultimates, already JD Gaming do have everything, so they can deny one area, one flank that WE wants to come in on. In fact, they're going to go on the offensive.
Xiye needs to be so careful. He gets all knocked down to about half HP. They have got beishang in the pit. He does not steal it. That's Elder Drake, and you got to feel like that's all you need if you're JDG. Jiumeng has to run away, but they've got it peppered around. They're going to try and jump in with Missing. They're going to try and get the damage down, but it's so difficult. Xiye does fall, so does the Leona. It's a 2-for-1 trade. It's a 3-for-1 trade, but there's just too much damage. Jiumeng jumps in. Jiumeng's popping off. Jiumeng, it's 1v2. He has to try and go for this. Zoom is going for it. He will kill him, but enough. It's a 5-for-4 trade. It's ONF, but that's all you need if you're JDG.
Jiumeng played that about as well as you could possibly have. He dodges out on 2 deadly flourishes coming out from LokeN, trying to tie his position down. Zoom flashes in, can't find the kill, and it still wasn't enough. That Elder Drake is just too damn powerful. Gets the execute onto Jiumeng, and that has to be a heartbreaking loss for him. Honestly, I felt like JD Gaming were so close in this game. This game, frankly, was about that double Leandri's cheese.
Yep.
That was the play that got them in the driver's seat so early on in the game. And if you're not aware of that trick, JD Gaming are going to pull the wool straight over your eyes of trust and faith into Jiumeng to kind of carry them in the late stages of the game. However, I will say that I don't think their pressure in the mid lane really translated well in the early game, and also they didn't get any kills out of this Renekton lane that you typically want to snowball with a jungler carry matchup. So their top side didn't really get it going early game. I definitely think they learned the lesson about the Leandri's cheese that we have seen so frequently.